The home of big debates, particularly about this police officer being suspended after that incident at Manchester Airport. No doubt at all it was a violent incident that police were called to. They do a very, very tough job. Armed police officers, 10 officers in total. This incident, people resisting arrest. 3 officers had to be taken to hospital. 1 woman police officer with a broken nose. But the incident that has really sparked the attention of everybody has been when a man had been subdued with a taser, and then an officer then kicked him in the head and then stamped on his head with his police boot. Well, what do you make of it? You're getting your thoughts. 0344 499 1000. Let's get the thoughts of someone who's not an armchair general like myself, but a man who's been there. Mike Neville, former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector. Good morning to you, Mike.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know you've spoken to some of my colleagues already about this yesterday, this story. It is extraordinary, isn't it, the footage? People are saying it's distressing. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform UK, said, yes, it wasn't distressing, it was reassuring. Which did you think it was?
I don't know the full context, and that's been said, but to my mind, it looks unacceptable. And we had similar arguments when we had a Marine sergeant shooting a Taliban unarmed prisoner. And what we've got to be, when you're in the police or the army, and I've been in both, is you've got to be better than the other side. You've got to be, you're a professional. And so it doesn't matter if your colleague's arm's been broken or whatever else. You can't dish out retribution, because what will happen is that the criminal will ultimately get away with it at court. And if you allow yourself to be filmed doing something really stupid, and then you just put your colleagues in the same mess as well. And I can't see where there's justification for kicking somebody in the head, because you're just going to cause, you potentially cause death or very serious injury.
If that man had launched himself, the police officer, I have no issue with that police officer doing everything he had to do to get him to the ground, to get himself to the place of safety and his colleagues to the place of safety. I will defend the police, to the death in terms of their right to protect themselves and protect the public and do what they think is necessary at the time. But that police officer knew it wasn't necessary to kick him in the head to subdue him, knew it wasn't necessary to stamp on his head. I mean, we've seen cases where people have been sent to prison for punching somebody, this pub, after the pub altercation, punching someone in the head. Someone falls, they hit the pavement, they die. I mean, that could have killed him.
I've dealt with exactly that case where that has happened, one punch death. And this is it looks very, very dangerous. And as every day, police officers face violence, they face knives and whatever else. I can admit I've broken somebody's arm in a fight, but that was justified. That you have to justify the force you use. The police are not there. It's not sort of Judge Dredd where they're there to punish people. No. The police are there to arrest people, detain them, and put them before the courts. We live in a civilized society. We can't give that up. And so while it's equally wrong for the police to run away from people, it's equally wrong to dish out retribution.
And I want to tackle that, because there's also an issue, like people say, well, it's easy in the cold light of day, and that's one of the key things, and again, we talk about, what happened with the shooting of Jean-Charles de Menendez on the tube and other incidents. In the cold light of day, it's really easy to make a decision afterwards. No, police are acting on the spur of the moment. Colleagues have been attacked. They're going to bring these guys down. They don't know, it's in an airport. They've been called to this. Already there's been a physical altercation. Police officers have been hurt. They've got every right to use extreme force to get these men down and make sure they are safe. But the moment they are safe, the training is supposed to kick in, and especially for an armed police officer, we're going to go more training because they're carrying a lethal weapon. The moment they are subdued and on the ground, that's when the violence has to end.
Yes, I mean, there's people justifying it, saying, these are armed officers and they're trained. If anybody goes near their weapon, then they must do something. Well, there's no evidence of that whatsoever, that anybody had tried to get a weapon. And sometimes you have to step back and say, a lot of ex-police will always say, oh, no, defend everybody. You've got to say no. And as an ex-soldier, when the man shot the unarmed prisoner in the Taliban, you've got to say that's not right. If it wasn't right to kill unarmed British soldiers after Dunkirk, the SS, then it's unacceptable for us to kill Taliban.
Because we need to be better, as you say. Let's go back to Leeds, though, because a lot of people are contrasting this. Police actually doing their job, subduing these guys. Clearly they've been as to we don't have all the details. A lot of it's going to go to court. We'll find out more the rights and the wrongs. But we look at what happened in Leeds. Riots on the streets, burning buses, police car attack, police videoed running away and then not returning for hours on end, leaving innocent people to fend for themselves as their street burnt. That's also equally unacceptable, isn't it?
Of course it is. And what it damages is the trust and confidence in policing, because the people in Leeds who are hiding in their house, feared of their house being burnt down or being attacked or looted, they deserve to be protected.
Yeah.
And we're going from one extreme to the other all the time. I come on here and we talk about this two-tier policing.
Yeah.
And the police is really in a state of crisis where British policing used to be seen as the best in the world. That Dixon and Dock Green, whether it's a myth or not, the nicest story I ever take from this, the one I always hold in my heart, is when some Jewish children were brought here in the middle of just before the Second World War, the little girl said, "And the policeman smiled." She'd never seen a policeman smile at her before. That is the epitome of British policing. We've got to be better than the rest. We can't be like the Spanish, the Germans, who just dish out the beatings after time. We've got to be the decent bobbies. We don't carry weapons all the time, and all these things really add to the British character, and we can't lose it.
But we also need to know that when violence and force is needed, they will use it, but it needs to be at the right time in the right place. Mike Neville, really appreciate your joining us, former Met Police DCI.